In Washington, U.S. President Joe Biden's decision to target Iranian-backed militias in Syria is the big story we're following as we look live there at the White House. The U.S. airstrikes are believed to be the first military action he has authorized as president. Our senior Washington editor is Lindsay Duncombe. Lindsay, details of this airstrike or these airstrikes have been coming out through the night. We've been talking about them through this morning. What do we know so far?
Well, the strikes happened on the border between Syria and Iraq on the Syrian side. This is a site that was believed to be used as a loading point for these Iran-backed militias along the border, and the attacks were taken in retaliation for what the United States believes were attacks by those militias, including earlier this month a rocket attack that killed a civilian contractor working with U.S. forces in Erbil, as well as other rocket attacks. So there was a rocket attack that hit an air base where American-affiliated contractors were working, as well as attacks that have gone through to the international green zone in Baghdad. There were not people hurt in those instances, but this is believed to be as much as a deterrent for what the Americans don't want to see happen with these militias, as well as a retaliation for what they already believe has happened. The U.S. Defense Secretary was asked about the action last night. Here's what he had to say.
We're confident in the target that we went after. We know what we hit. And we're confident that that target was being used by the same Shia militia that conducted the strikes.
The Pentagon has not released what it believes the death toll or the casualties to be as a result of these bombs. Heather, the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights estimates as many as 17 people were killed as a result of the American attack. They told the Agence France Presse that they believe that these 17 fighters were killed as their lorries or trucks were carrying munitions.
Lindsay, as I was mentioning and introducing you, this is believed to be the first military action Biden has approved. What does it tell us about his approach to the Middle East, particularly to the conflict in Syria, where U.S. regional rivals are involved?
Yeah, it's so incredibly complicated. And if you take a look at the statement that the Pentagon put out last night, they clearly described this as a proportionate response carried out in consultation with coalition partners. And the fact that this attack, Heather, happened on the Syria side of the border, not the Iraqi side, and that the Americans contacted Iraq and let them know it was going to happen, shows that they're trying to manage the complications diplomatically inside the region. The other thing that statement says is that the unambiguous message here is that President Biden will act to protect Americans and coalition personnel at the same time as trying to de-escalate the situation in Iraq and Syria. But that is an incredibly difficult line to manage, especially when you consider this is all about Iran. And what the Biden administration is trying to do now is to engage Iran diplomatically, to re-engage Iran diplomatically after the post-Trump era. What the Biden administration wants to do is to come up with some kind of revision or a revisiting of the Obama-era nuclear agreement. And that becomes increasingly difficult to do when you are bombing militias and attacking militias associated with Iran. And Iran says, for its part, that these attacks on the American forces or American-associated places are not its doing. So it's all incredibly complicated.
It is, Lindsay, but thank you for helping us navigate it. We'll be watching for further developments and any statements from the White House. Thank you, Lindsay Duncombe, our senior Washington editor.